Hello everybody to today's Grande adventure, and we are in the beautiful Newcastle. Throughout this video you're going to be seeing a lot of historical buildings and very nice coastal beaches. Also, another thing I would like to say, I am wearing my new official merch. I got myself an updated baseball cap and as well one of my merch t-shirts, which you can get in Redbubble on my merch store, which I'll leave the store in the link in the description below. Let's get right into showing this lovely place.
Disclaimer: this Newcastle is in New South Wales, not in the United Kingdom. Referred to as Greater Newcastle, it's a large metropolitan area and the second most populous such area of New South Wales. It includes the cities of Newcastle and Lake Macquarie, the hub of Lower Hunter region, which includes most parts of cities of Newcastle, Lake Macquarie, Maitland, Cessnock and Port Stephens Council. The locals like to call Newcastle Nui. Located at the mouth of the Hunter River, it's the predominant city within the Hunter region. Famous for its coal, the Newcastle is the largest coal exporting harbour in the world, exporting 143 million tonnes of coals in 2022. Beyond the city, the Hunter region possesses large coal deposits. Geologically, the area is located in the central eastern part of Sydney Basin. Newcastle, New South Wales was originally called Coal River, then Kingston, before renamed Newcastle in 1804. The name was chosen after the famous coal port in England. The Aboriginal name for Newcastle is Melu Binbar, in which the name comes from sea fern. Awabakal and Warrimi Aboriginal people traditionally occupied the area. The city of Newcastle acknowledges the traditional country of these peoples. In September 1797, Lieutenant John Shortland became the first European to explore the area. His discovery of the area was largely accidental, as he had been sent in search of a number of convicts who had seized a locally built vessel called Cumberland as she was sailing from Sydney Cove. While returning, Lieutenant Shortland entered what he later described as a very fine river, which he named after New South Wales Governor John Hunter. He returned with reports of the deep water port and the area's abundant coal. Over the next 2 years, coal mined from the area was the New South Wales colony first export. Newcastle gained a reputation as a hellhole, as it was a place where the most dangerous convicts were sent to dig in the coal mines as harsh punishment for their crimes. By the start of the 19th century, the mouth of the Hunter River was being visited by diverse groups of men, including coal diggers, timber cutters and more escaped convicts. Philip Gidley King, the Governor of New South Wales from 1800, decided on a more positive approach to exploit the now obvious natural resources of the Hunter Valley. It began to inquire the aspect of typical Australian pioneer settlement and the steady flow of free settlers poured into the Hunterland. During the 19th century, the formation of the Newcastle Hunter Steamship Company saw the establishment of regular steamship services from Morpeth to the Newcastle with Sydney. Port of Newcastle is a major seaport in City of Newcastle. It's the world's largest coal port. made up of facilities located at Port Hunter, Yeo Harbour in Hunter River Estuary. Port was first commercial export in Australia and is the world's busiest coal export. Annual exports of coal from Newcastle exceeded at $15 billion in 2012 to 2013. Newcastle birthed more than 2,200 ships a year in 2012 to 2013. It's crucial to economic life of Newcastle and Hunter Valley region beyond. Over 90 million tonnes of coal is shipped through the facility each year, making it the largest coal exporting port in the world. Claims to be Australia's first port, coal was first exported from within the harbour in 1799. Newcastle Transport operates a ferry service across the Hunter River between Newcastle's CBD and Stockton. The Awabakal people were inhabitants of Newcastle Malu Binbar, living around the harbour and foreshore prior to European contact. Discarded shells of shellfish harvested by local clans for thousands of years formed enormous middens which were burned by Europeans to produce lime for building purposes. First commercial shipment was recorded in 1799. Dredging of harbour began in 1859 and July 2016. Port Hunter was officially dual named Yeo Harbour, its local indigenous name. Port's Harbour Master is the Port Authority of New South Wales. Cargo facilities are operated by Port Waratah Coal Services and Newcastle Coal Infrastructure Group at Korangang Island, as well as other operators at Mayfield, Carrington and Welsh Point. There are plans to build a cruise terminal. In April 2014, Premier Mike Berard and Treasurer Andrew Constance announced that a consortium which comprises Hastings Funds Management and Chinese state-owned China Merchants had successfully bid $1.75 billion for a 98-year lease of Port of Newcastle. It has been estimated that over 200 vessels have been entering or leaving the Port of Newcastle. Vessels have been recorded lost and around the areas of Port Hunter, Hunter River, Nobby's Head, Stockton Bight, Stockton Beach, Newcastle Beach, Oyster Bank, Williams River, and Inland Raymond Terrace. The Cathedral Church of Christ King, also called Christ Church Cathedral, is an Anglican cathedral in Newcastle. It's the cathedral church of Diocese of Newcastle in the Anglican Church of Australia. Designed by John Horbury Hunt in the Gothic Revival style, located on a hill at the city's eastern end in the suburb called The Hill. It was added to New South Wales State Heritage Register on 28th of June 2011. The ground on which Christchurch Cathedral stands has been site of at least one other church, Christchurch, built in 1817 to 18. Unlike rushed construction of Christchurch, The building of Christchurch Cathedral was a long and complicated process. It was exactly 100 years from the beginning of construction to its consecration. John Horbury Hunt was the principal architect involved in the project, with other prominent Newcastle architects also contributing to its design. During second half of the 1850s, with coal production greatly increasing, there was a doubling of the population of Newcastle, and it decided that there was a new or expanded cathedral. In the 1860s, Bishop Tyrrell argued that there was no need for a new building and instead advocated an addition to the existing church. However, diocese disagreed and in 1868 ran a competition for the design of a new cathedral. The requirements were that contestants designed an establishment to be built of stone or brick, large enough for 1,000 people and at a maximum cost of £10,000. Winners were Terry and Speechley from Melbourne. John Horbury Hunt, who had become one of Australia's most significant architects during the last third of the 19th century, had also entered the competition and was appointed supervising architect. After cost of the winning design was found to have been seriously underestimated, Hunt's own plans were adopted. The cathedral is situated adjacent to Church Street on southern highest part of the site, with Rest Park former cemetery laid out on slope to north and bounded on its northern edge by King Street. Completed cathedral represents a modified version of Horbury Hunt original design, evolving the course of several phases of construction, lasting nearly a century with contributions from a number of architects and builders. Parts of the 1817 foundation stone incorporated into later cathedral remain legible, including name of Governor Macquarie. Civic Park is the green heart of inner city, located proudly between Newcastle City Hall, Art Gallery, and Regional Library. It offers large shady trees, terraced garden beds, war memorials, and expanses of lawn perfect for impromptu picnics. Once coal mining land, the 2.5 hectare space was passed into public hands and opened for community use in 1937. On her visit to Newcastle in 1970, Queen Elizabeth opened the Captain Cook Memorial Fountain designed by the late modernist sculptor Miguel Enahinda. With its arresting parabolic arcs of water, the fountain is a favorite backdrop for photographers. The Awabakal, Warimi, Wonaua, Gawagal, Baripai and Darkinjung peoples are the traditional owners of the land that now makes up the Lower Hunter region. Archaeological evidence indicates that human beings have inhabited the landscape of Newcastle for at least 6,500 years. In 2009, archaeologists uncovered artifacts including a hearth and factory at the site of the former Palace Royal on Hunter Street. Over 5,534 Aboriginal artifacts were recovered, representing 3 occupation periods dating from before present 6,716 to 6,502 years. This site was identified as a site of high to exceptional cultural and scientific significance. Over the millennia, the artifacts manufactured there on what came to be known as Cottage Creek were probably traded across the region and across many territories and countries. The Reverend Lancelot Threlkeld, a missionary stationed at Newcastle and Lake Macquarie during the 1820s onwards, recorded the Aboriginal people of Newcastle tribe were called Malabun Bakal men and Malabun Bakaline female. Threlkeld worked with local Awabakal man Baraban to record the Awabakal language. Since 1892, Indigenous people of Newcastle have come to be known as Awabakal. During World War II, Newcastle was an important industrial centre for the Australian war effort. In early hours of 8th of June 1942, the Japanese submarine 121 briefly shelled Newcastle. Among the area hits within the city were Docklands, the steelworks, Parnell Place in the city's now affluent East End, the Break Wall and Art Deco ocean baths. There were no casualties in the attack and damage were minimal. Coal mining began in earnest in the 1830s, with colonies working close to the city itself and others within a 16-kilometre radius. Most of Newcastle's principal coal mines, Stockton, Tyers Hill, Carrington, the Australian Agricultural Company, the Newcastle Coal Mining Company's big colonies at Merewether includes the Glebe, Woolseat and the Waratah colonies had all closed by the 1960s. They had replaced over 4 decades by larger coal mining activities further inland at places such as Kurri Kurri and Cessnock. Right at the heart of the action, this is one of our most popular beaches, with cafes, beach kiosk, mall and hotels close by. It's easy to understand why the beach has a reputation for being one of the best surf locations in Australia and is favoured spot for board riders wishing to catch that perfect wave of Newcastle Point. Lifeguard services are provided 7 days a week during swimming season. A stroll between Newcastle and Nobby's Beach will take approximately 15 minutes along the scenic Bathurst Way, with iconic ocean baths in between. There is easy access to beach by using light rail and bus facilities, which include volleyball nets, change rooms and a kiosk. It's fortunate enough to have two ocean baths facilities within Newcastle and Merewether that sit on its pristine coastline and are open year-round for the community to enjoy. Newcastle Ocean and Merewether Baths both have a long history as popular swimming spots. Newcastle Ocean Baths were opened in 1922 and Merewether Ocean Baths in 1935. The ocean baths were constructed and in use before World War I. Though not formally opened until the 1920s, the bath's popularity has never waned throughout the ensuing decades, and thousands of Novocastrians remember it fondly as the place where they first learnt to swim. With its distinctive and significant Art Deco pavilion, Newcastle Ocean Baths is one of the city's outstanding historic landmarks and is a popular informal open-air studio for amateur photographers. Nobby's Lighthouse is an active lighthouse established on Nobby's Head in Newcastle 1854 to guide vessels into the Hunter River. The small tower is surrounded by 3 cottages which are significant as record of defence of Newcastle as it provided accommodation for defence staff during World War II 1942. In addition, they are significant in their continued association with the signal station until 2001. Nobby's Head is a prominent physical landmark with the Nobby's Breakwall providing a popular spot for visitor recreation. From the Nobby's Beach car park, it is a 550 metres or 10-minute approximately walk to the gate. From there, a 220 metre uphill walk to the Signal Master's cottage. The site is by nature isolated and exposed. It's likely to be breezy depending on the time of day you visit, and is therefore advised you wear comfortable shoes for the walk and bring a jacket if it gets cold. Established on Nobby's Head in 1854, which was then a small isolated coastal islet just off Signal Head. It was only the 3rd lighthouse built in New South Wales after the Macquarie Light in 1818. And the Hornsby Light that was also built in 1858. First beacon had been lit on Signal Hill in 1804 to guide vessels into the Hunter River. It was an open coal fire that was only seen for several kilometres. An oil-burning light in a large metal device was established in 1821 and was visible for 12 kilometres. The oil light was not reliable, so the beacon reverted to the coal fire once again. Small tower has been dwarfed by the taller buildings that house the signal station and port watch, amongst other things. Originally called Coal Island, the Nobby's Head, said to have originally been 60 metres high, was joined to the mainland by causeway that was begun in 1818 and later completed in 1846. In 1854, it was intended to blow the island away to prove the harbour but strong public protests forced cessation of the work of destruction. However, the island was further reduced to 25 meters to accommodate the building of the lighthouse and signal station in 1858. The original 20,000 candle power lit was attended by 3 keepers. The light was converted to electric operation in 1935. By 1846, Nobby's Head was small, isolated, 60 meters, 200 feet high, was connected to the mainland with a causeway. In 1934, the light was electrified and automated. Current light source is 120 electron volt, 1000 volt quartz halo lamp, and power source is mains electricity with diesel generator as backup. Currently at the site are the 3 one-story keeper houses, a 3-story signal station, and other building housing the port watch. The entire station is floodlit at night. On June 22, 2004, the lighthouse and associated structures were on the Commonwealth Heritage List. On 21st of October 1980, the lighthouse was listed on the now defunct Register of the National Estate. Lighthouse Arts is a multi-art activation of Nobby's Wa Bay Ganbar headland cottages to support the region's unique and diverse local arts, culture and tourism. We seek to protect and celebrate the Awabakal culture, historic and maritime heritage, and provide a safe, collaborative space for local artists while celebrating the region's iconic landmark and supporting local tourism and cultural businesses. By 1818 to 46, Macquarie Pier was built by convicts and the island was joined to the mainland. Originally about 53 metres high, the island was regarded as safely hazard early mariners because height caused ships to lose wind and risk being carried onto the oyster bank when entered the harbour.
We have finally gotten to the very end point, close to the lighthouse actually, and this is where we are going to be concluding here at the iconic Newcastle. And it's got such a very intriguing back history to it, and particularly what we've seen throughout today, a lot of old style buildings and this beautiful coastal beach that you can also see behind me. It's truly got the essence of why it's called Newcastle, and I really hope you thoroughly enjoyed a bit of the back history along the way. Until next time, I will see everybody in another one of my videos. Take care everyone, bye! Take a gander through Granda's socials as well, clicking that subscribe button on his YouTube channel. I also have merch on a website called Redbubble. You can check out by my username Grande94, where it sells all different things such as clothes, headwear, magnets, and alongside of other variety of cool stuff. Always appreciative of all support. Have fun looking through other content of mine and catch you on the next video. Bye everyone!